Good morning, Nigeria. I make you welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. We kick off today with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have it us right here in our studios and headquarters from Lagos State, Nigeria. Emeka Madunago, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through what we have from our newspapers and possibly crisscrossing to our main conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome.
My pleasure.
Thank you so very much for your time as always. So let's start today with the Daily Trust newspaper. Big story, ladies and gentlemen. Fubara returns hobbled. And below that particular story, many IPOP terrorists killed in Imo. And that's coming from police. Abducted Katsina couple freed after 50 million naira ransom. And how four FIRS senior staff orders died in Lagos, a fire. And on the top strip of the same newspaper, we have Saudi Arabia frees 3 Nigerian detained over alleged drug trafficking. And also from the top strip also of the same newspaper, the Daily Trust, Shoprite stores shut in Ibadan, in Lori, shelves empty in Lagos and Abuja. Emeka, let's start with the Shoprite thing. And it used to be a beehive of activity back in the days for so many Nigerians, especially in Lagos and other parts of the country. The Shoprite was like a tourist haven for people. You want to take your children out, you go to Shoprite. You want to go on a date, you go to Shoprite. You love to, see how great the environment is, you go to Shoprite. How is it that this same brick and mortar shop is closing down around the country while competitors are equally doing well? So what's the problem?
Yeah, I think I grew up in an era when superstores, when you had a lot of superstores around, Lagos, around the country. You had Leventis,
Kingsway.
You had even fast foods. You had Chicken George. You had all those people. Those were the places to go to, So, I mean, you could, for instance, start off with just shopping at Kingsway, or, Kingsway in Marina. If you're heading to Bar Beach, then Bar Beach was booming. If you shop from there, you go into one of those eateries then, and then take along food that you eat at Bar Beach, But sadly, the structural adjustment program of Babangida, actually reduce the purchasing power of Nigerians. A lot of Nigerian professionals fled the country. So those superstores, of course, they depend on, heavy volume of turnover of sales, so they went down. But gradually, after some time, after Abacha died, 1998, then democratic rule returned, democratic governance returned. Then, people now began to come back to the country. Foreigners too, Lebanese, Indians, and all that, who operated some of those stores. If you remember the Chelaram stores in the 70s,
yes.
Who operated those chains started coming back. Then Shoprite, after South Africa, got black majority rule in 1996.
Okay.
It was one of the brands that came to Nigeria. Shoprite, MTN, DSTV, MultiChoice, and the rest of them. Those are South African businesses that came to Nigeria. But somehow, it's like the owners of the Shoprite brand, began to have a rethink about their it was a global chain.
Okay.
So understand they closed their chains. They closed their shops in places around the world and sold them. So, but it appears the guys who bought over the chain in Nigeria, maybe they've not, due to exchange rate, fluctuating exchange rate, and maybe poor capitalization, because these are the things that usually ruin businesses in Nigeria. People go into a business without proper valuation, without proper risk assessment. So this has us, this time they joined some other companies, the Promasidors, the Procter and Gamble's, and all of them that ran away from Nigeria, because of foreign exchange issues and all of that.
So which could be tied synonymous to, but this time, Tinubu structural adjustment program.
Well, Tinubu is not running a structural
yes, of course.
Tinubu is
with the scaling,
according to
everything,
his MTEF, the 2025 to 2027, I think on page 50 or 52, it says that they are running a program taken from IMF's financial management program, but it's not a structural adjustment program. So the point is this: the Nigerian economy is a very challenging one. It's a very challenging one, and for you to be an entrepreneur in Nigeria today, you must apply a lot of skills, in management, in handling the business, foreign exchange fluctuations, purchasing power is low. Then supplies, because that was one of the problems they had. I mean, Shoprite then, of course, in procurement, you can give a window of 30 days. When the suppliers, when they provide supplies, then you give them a check for 30 days. But it must not bounce, because that is why they take overdraft. They take overdraft from a bank and they present the check to the bank, or, I mean, the LPO, a local purchase order. They could just say, okay, look at, Shoprite has given us this LPO, supply this, within 30 days. So the bank can advance them an overdraft. But where you consistently default in paying your suppliers, is going to affect, it's going to be a back chain affecting a lot of things. It will affect the banks. The suppliers will start running around, maybe selling their houses, selling their property, selling their cars, so that they can meet up with bank payments. Because honestly, I don't know if you have ever been harassed by a bank in Nigeria. I have. I've been harassed by banks when I owed money, and it was not a tea party. It's not you can't sleep. You can't sleep. You are just making calls, calling friends. Look, okay, even if it's 10,000, give me. Even if it's 50,000, give me. If you have 100,000, give me. Somebody might say, okay, you can even pledge your furniture in your house. Okay, come and carry. We don't mind. We'll be sitting on the floor.
So little wonder. So what's the name now? So Jimoto was literally crying on national television. It's not actually not easy owing anyone.
Why people keep getting into the same problems? Personally, as a businessman, I avoid government contracts.
But it's a must do. It's juicy.
Yes, it's juicy. You see, government contract, you have a markup of 35%. Look, you see, with government contract, you can, from penury, become a billionaire. I'm being frank with you, without putting a cover of your own. The only currency you spend is just goodwill and a nice handshake from nothing. Because if you have the goodwill, you get the contract. You have the goodwill, go to the bank, you get those who will, will stand for you. Yes, I know this person. Please advance him this loan. Let him do this thing. They will give you the goodwill. You can get supplies on credit. Do the business very well. And then pray that administration pays you. That it doesn't go into another administration and say we don't know anything about that contract. But if they pay you, you can even be lucky. Some administrations can give you 80%. Like during the military era, that was what they call the mobilization fee. 80% of the contract cost. So imagine when you are giving 80% of contract cost. What are you talking about? That's why you see people were having nice time. You have a nice time now because you know the cost of the contract.
Yeah, because everything, 80% even covers for everything.
Factoring in corruption too.
The kickbacks.
At the end of the day, you will do your project. But now, money is not like that. Banks are not advancing loans as easily as before. Because a lot of them have bad debts that they can't even recover. A lot of them, a lot of them have issues with loans, So that of Sujimoto, I don't know why he went into that thing, that kind of problem. I think maybe he didn't get his fundamentals right. That's why he ran into that problem. Because some of those smart schools, the contracts were given to some other people. So when some people tried to make it a tribal issue, they told them, no, don't go that way. you know, because there are people got this smart school project contracts from different, you know, people from different places got, so don't go into that. So the interesting thing is that, you know, that of Shoprite is unfortunate. The new buyers have not been able to, you know, maintain the high standards set by the former owners.
But do you think that could be the problem? Because if we take a look at their competitors, do you think that their strategy has really failed them? Because if you take a look at other competitors like Boku, right now, they've taken the experience that people had in the Shoprite that you need to travel a long distance to go see to different nooks and cranny of Lagos.
But there was something you said.
So the experience you see in Shoprite,
the shopping experience, tourism experience. There was a time I was in the US and we went to one of these department stores where they sell clothes. I don't remember their name. You know, do you know they closed and were still in there? You know why? Because of the experience. You saw this one. I don't know. You went this way, you saw another one. You know, that shopping experience is thrilling. You may not even buy much, but that shopping experience is thrilling. You know? And so people going to Shoprite, I'm holding, at least you could afford something.
Yes.
Even if it's a loaf of bread. You saw people who were, you know, as they were coming, they were dangling as they were crossing the road. You saw them dangling a loaf of bread, you know, to show I went to
branded,
Shoprite. You know, all of those things. But sadly, exchange rate has plummeted. The exchange rate has plummeted. Then, you know, under the former administration of Buhari, exchange rate was 750, 366 under Jonathan. It fell to 450, then later 750. But look at when Tinubu came in. Exchange rate moved from 750 to 2,000. It was just sleeping 15, 16, 2,000 to $1. And so a lot of businesses were badly impacted. Now it has come down, hovering around 1,506. Just yesterday, I think it went from 1,532 to 1,535. And those little fluctuations, they affect businesses. And of course, Shoprite, you know, I think one problem they may have had is that, you know, I think they needed to have been able to transition to locally sourced products, you know, because they have a lot of imported, they were selling a lot of imported things, you know, so sourcing these things locally, you know, import substitution is part of the issue. So I hope, because there are such malls that are thriving now, there are superstores that are thriving. But the sad thing then too, which I think some people got wrong, people are now making comparisons that yes, all these mom and pop shops, all those small shops, owned by husband and wife will fold up. That no, I tell people, when you say some of these things, that you are not being fair to the owners of those businesses. Those people use those shops to train their children through school, and now you are just writing carelessly. But because Shoprite has come, they will close and not. They not close. Shoprite is problem, but they are still there. So let everybody be able to handle his or her own niche. Just where you are, do your business well. That's what matters. This comparison, it doesn't work at all.
All right, Emeka, let's take a look at other matters. Many IPOP terrorists killed in Imo. Yesterday we had it from our newspapers. I guess it should be the Punch or so, where it was said that one notorious criminal, you know, Kigwe, they call him the General Gentle Yahoo.
Okorienta.
Yes, you know, who was you know, nabbed. But of course, there's this growing allegation, yes, against what he was saying, how that he was calling people's names. Of course, one amongst them is the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, as he said, according to him, had several meetings with them. And the question is, to what use then is the meeting? Was it to use them as tools, and therefore his arrest could be as a result of him calling out names? Yeah,
I saw a video yesterday that they said it was from the scene of a battle between security agents and those insurgents. You see, when you call them IPOB, it is just a way to tag, to bring in ethnic tagging into it. IPOB, those who are IPOB have consistently said that they have no affiliation with those guys. This guy that was said to have been captured, a security analyst, called Zaragoza, he has come out to say that that Gentle Yahoo was not captured. He has come out to debunk it. People have been asking questions. Okay, bring out the video of Gentle Yahoo where you captured him. Then there are also rumors that he and someone else were invited to a meeting, with maybe people in government or so, and then they were giving some conditions, like the same peace meeting that been holding in the north, and it's like they rejected those peace talks and they were captured or something. So that's why you see, even up till now, the Nigerian military has not come out to explicitly say the guy was captured, see who captured him. Because some people did some underground, their voice notes have been going around. Some people did some underground, that, okay, who? You said it was one army formation. But even those ones are not owning up to the fact that they grabbed him or something. Now, okay, of course, if he was not grabbed, Gentle Yahoo, he has one deputy they call Angel Makeup, who anytime, he usually speaks for Gentle Yahoo, but he has not shown up. So people are now saying, or is it a trick, maybe to hide them away and keep them, against the 2027 election, to use it, so all kinds of insinuation. Now the police saying many terrorists killed. Well, I want to believe it's true that they did so, but you see, the problem in the southeast is basically, it's not just about whether it's IPOB or ESN, but the fact that different kinds of entrepreneurs, conflict entrepreneurs, have gone into the fray, and they've now turned the whole thing to a business. Put the Southeast under pressure, put the Southeast in tension, killing people, kidnapping people, causing destruction, all in the name of fighting for Biafra. And the people you say you are fighting on their behalf are the victims of what you are doing. It's just like in the North. What is going on in the North? It's plain brigandage. Plain brigandage. Because there is no ideology. They've kidnapped, they've kidnapped people, who are praying, kidnap people from mosques.
Mosques.
So it has nothing to do with
religion.
So all this is just plain terrorism, brigandage. And definitely, even though the government has been trying to use carrot and stick, but I think the government needs to rethink its strategy to find a way to, rescue the country from the grip, because there are all kinds of sundry criminals. Okay, look at in Benue State. Those law school students, they were going to law school in Taraba, and then they were kidnapped. Now, they were said to have been kidnapped by, a group of, criminals, who do that just to make money. They don't kill their victims. And they are alleged to be from an ethnic group in Benue State that has been said to be one of the victims of land grabbing, of killings of farmers and all that. So when victims now become oppressors, then there is a problem. So I think basically we are still waiting to see, confirmation of, all these things that the police said have happened in the last few days in the Southeast. We want peace. We want tranquility in the Southeast. People want to bring in investments. However, people say they want to come and invest in the Southeast. President Bola Tinubu has set up a Southeast Development Commission, set up a board, and the chaps in charge of that SEDC say they are actually interested in attracting investments, but you cannot draw investors to a place that is insecure, where people think nothing of killing, kidnapping, destruction. That is not the kind of environment where business thrives. But sincerely speaking, we need peace.
We need peace.
In the Southeast, we need tranquility. We need a secure environment.
Of course, this boils down to those in leadership, because if we take a look at the 5 southeastern states of the country, maybe apart from Enugu and Abia State, and maybe Ebonyi also, Imo and Anambra has been the worst hit when it comes to insecurity. And lots of people have labeled that to the deficit of leadership in the form of those in charge, I mean the governors now, that have not in any way shown any sign of desire to end some of these things, especially with their rhetorics and with their actions and inactions and so many other issues there. But let's take a look at the Punch newspaper for a bit. We have federal government, states, local government shared 2.2 trillion naira for August revenue, and we also equally have other interesting stories. Finally, cash transfer. Federal government pays 330 billion naira to 8.1 million households. I wonder who those that have collected this money, Emeka. I do not know. At the same time, can you believe that the federal government would give out 330 billion naira to 8.1 million so-called households, and federal government equally voted 300 billion to power teaching hospitals and universities? Isn't that dilution of priorities?
Well, the thing is this, for me, that those cash transfers were an IMF prescription. Because giving people money just to take care of everyday needs, to me, is not going to help them in any way. If you give them money to put into business, money that will turn over, they'll be able to feed. You know, it's sustainable. But where you give out money on ad hoc basis just for basic needs, particularly food, you're not helping them. Because if you feed them today, how are they going to eat tomorrow?
And it might even spark inflation further.
It is. That's part of the thing. That when you go to the market and mop up bags of rice, the price will go up. You see, the inflation in Nigeria is man-made. All these government empowerment, we've told them, stop all these empowerment programs. You say you import rice, you give people rice. You are causing distortions in the economy. What we want is this. Take the rice to the markets. When you flood the rice, the markets with rice, the price will go down. But the issue is this, the local farmers of rice, why are you not patronizing them? What is the problem? That we cannot source rice locally, that we have to import. Importation should just be to augment.
But we can't produce as much as
why?
The volume.
Who says? I'm a farmer, why not? The problem is, the places where farmers can use have been occupied by herdsmen. There's insecurity. People go to farm, they are kidnapped. So how will they go to farm? Bandits demand taxes, illegal taxes from farmers. So all of those things. Then the new narrative of Tinubu administration is that prices of food items have gone down, that they are falling. I said yes. Then you heard Tinubu the other day say that the Federal Executive Council should set up a committee to crash food prices. No. You see all this fire brigade approach, all this jackboot tendency, it will not work. What you need to do is this. Support the farming sector with necessary tools. You said you would distribute tractors, 1.2 million tractors across the country. Where are the tractors? Who has seen any of the tractors? Then, in terms of seeds, what exactly are you out for? Are you trying to build seed banks in Nigeria, or are you depending on Bill Gates for GMO seeds? You should have a coherent policy. Not anybody who promises something, you jump to that place. You know. Then, 3, right now, people, the other day, a friend of mine was telling me that his farm, where he cultivated cassava, that they brought a woman who wanted to buy the entire harvest of a crop, and she was pricing it at 30,000 naira. Something that, as of last year, they sold for 80,000. That come down to 30,000 naira. The part of the problem is purchasing power has gone down. Purchasing power has gone down. So, you now say food prices are crashing, but why are Nigerians not buying? Why do you still have hunger? You take, let's say, you take a truckload of foodstuff from Kano. Before you get to Lagos, you pay bribes of
Yes, 700,000. Yes.
On the way. You pay to police.
They call it food something, food whatever it is.
That one is local governments.
But why should local government even collect? Why should they even collect?
That's the problem. They will block the road. Then you have police. You have the military. You have all kinds of task forces. By the time the food gets to the intended destination, you are adding more money to the whole thing. So why would things not be expensive? But what I say is this: state governments in the south should try greenhouse farming. Farming 12 months all year round farming, so that through it they can sustain food supply to their markets. But this idea of giving people cash transfer and all that, for me, take that money, give it to 330 billion, give it to SMEs, give it to all these women engaged in petty trade. Give it to SMEs, people manufacturing things, doing business. Give the money to them. Then you can take part of the money and put it into health insurance. Because like they say, health is wealth. If people can go to the hospital and they don't have to pay out of pocket, they have a card. You see many state governments now, they have health insurance, 10,000, 12,000 in a year. So if you use the cash transfer, instead of giving people, you say, okay, this is it. The one for January, we are going to put it into health insurance. All right, take a card. When you get to the hospital, you don't have to pay for consultation, even the drugs. You will find out that if you even have a fund, let's say a drug revolving fund that you invest in, let's say you invest in, maybe you even take it to the stock exchange, let people put money into it. You will see that pharmacies will even, drug manufacturers, manufacturers of medications, pharmaceutical industries, they will also be able to get support from it, get funding support from it, and then produce drugs locally. So we'll now be able to effectively fight drug, adulteration. But cash transfer, transferring cash to people, will not solve their poverty.
It has never solved any problem
actually. Out of poverty.
Yeah.
What you need to do, use that money as a productive fund. Use that money to fund productivity. To fund productivity. A lot of these people who go to the markets every day, maybe they make 5,000, 10,000. When they're coming back home, maybe they buy something. If you can help them, they need storage facilities. They need cold chain storage. So if a truck is leaving Benue State, for instance, with fruits, instead of packing them in baskets, if you put them in cold storage, and from Benue down to Lagos, let's say it takes maybe 4 days or so because of the bad roads, then of course that truck will be in a good position, at least to deliver those food items in a very good state. Not the waste, the palpable waste we have now,
which still goes and affects.
You can also encourage these women to set up cooperative societies. Take this money, put in cooperative, tell them form cooperative societies. They can now take loans at reducing balance. I've said this thing so many times. Encourage people to set up cooperative societies. The minimum membership of cooperative society is 10 members. Encourage them to set up these things. They can join with 1,000 naira. When they join, now they have these cooperatives within their, specified areas of business. So they can borrow money from the cooperatives. As they are selling, they are repaying. As they are selling, when they finish, if they borrow 100,000 now, when they repay, they get 200,000, like that. So that gradually you can lift people from poverty. But when you think is by giving people money, giving people rice and all those things,
well,
you cannot defeat poverty that way.
Well, our president has we have known him as a philanthropist who is very good at doling out and gifting out funds to people. But of course, he's now the president. There's a big difference now. The policies should be there to ensure that this money don't just go to people who might end up spending it for something they don't need, but including that in our real economy. Emeka, in 60 seconds, if we may, let's take a look at this very sad story. 7 victims confirmed killed in Lagos building fire. Of course, amongst them is 4 from the FIRS and 2 from UBA and others equally that were unfortunately that died as a result of that fire outbreak. But let's take a look at building and how to safeguard it for the future. What do you think might have caused the death of 7 people? What do you think would be done in the future to stop this from not happening again?
Well, the sad thing, may their souls rest in peace, first of all. The sad thing is that we've continued to build and build and build without considering, safety as the prime motivation. And that is why, that was why you saw people jumping out from windows, throwing down rocks or curtains, to jump on top. That is not what you should see in the 21st century. What we keep doing catch up. We keep just patching, something that requires surgery, that requires serious attention. You'll be patching it. We keep patching it. That's not how modern cities of the world, conduct fire and rescue operations. You don't bring vehicles that are outdated and all that. When Fashola was the governor, I know he acquired some of these rescue vehicles, very big vehicles that could carry, heavy duty vehicles. But I don't know what has happened. And then your fire service trucks, the trucks we have now, those trucks are outdated now. I was in the US in 2001, in 2008, we're in a hotel, in Washington DC, Washington DC. So at night, there was a fire alarm. It's like, there were some young boys in the hotel, they lodged in the hotel, so maybe they got smoking. Okay. Because the hotel is a no smoking. Yeah. So maybe they got smoking and the fire, and that triggered the fire. Okay. So they had to evacuate all of us at night. In fact, it was such a funny sight. Women in their nightgown, different. Oh my, it was a terrible sight. I think the 4-story building also. A big hotel, there's like a quadrangle in the middle where they serve people, where people have breakfast and all of that. It's, so that was around 2 a.m. All of us had to rush down. Now, when we got out to the streets, oh my, you needed to see the beauty of the American fire service. See trucks, large trucks with cranes that could
go as far as
the tallest buildings. They were on each street block. There was one in front of the hotel. There was one ahead. There was still one straight ahead. Right down about 4 fire trucks. And so you admire you would admire the response, the quick response. The response was swift. And that shows you a society that is ready, to be to be a major player in the 21st century. Then again, buildings. People are designing buildings, high-rise buildings. They are supposed to show you their fire safety, plan. You should have fires, you should have sprinklers. You should have, fire quenchers.
That is if there's water. If there's available water in the building.
You should have fire hydrants. A high-rise building should have a fire hydrant. I've said it before. I said it, I was telling people on the Charmaine market. I said you have regular fires because you people want to continue, just living in the past. You cannot continue like that. A market attracts so many people. So what you need, you should have fire hydrants, within specified distances. A busy place like Lagos Island should have so many, because you are close to water. So water shouldn't be a problem. You should have fire hydrants. You should have underground reservoirs that can take a million liters of water. Take 1 million liters of water. Oman, Gulf of Oman. The Kingdom of Oman, they take water from the sea. They purify, supply to their people through aquifers, and they return the excess to the water, to the sea. Israel. How does Israel provide water for its people? All of these things are made possible by modern technology. This is Lagos Island. This is the lagoon. You can bring water even from the Atlantic. You can pump water. Are they not pumping sand from the lagoon? Are they not? Why can't you pump water? If you are pumping sand from the lagoon, you are dredging it, so you are making it deeper.
Yes.
So more water can stay. So you can pump water from there, treat it, and keep it in case of fire disaster. So it will be easy for you to deploy, rescue at any time. But you saw one local government, they went to buy some rickshaws and say they were firefighting. I said, why do we like joking with serious matters? Why will you go and bring a rickshaw? Why will you go and bring a rickshaw to fight fire? How? What quantity of water can it carry? And why are you turning this thing to a joke? Why can't you build, if a local government cannot buy fire trucks because they're very expensive, you can do a hydrant. It's just a borehole. You can do a fire hydrant, that has different outlets where you can plug pipes and fight fires. These things are not rocket. These things have been there for ages. So it's not rocket science. These are things we can do, but I don't know why we keep defeating ourselves with simple things that we can easily achieve if we set our minds to it. Population is increasing.
People are becoming congested.
Yeah. Lagos is congested. Other cities too are congested. I'm telling you. You think there's traffic in Lagos? Go to Owerri. Go to Benin. Go to some cities. At least I travel regularly. And then you will see traffic. It's only maybe a place like Enugu, because Enugu has wide roads. Yeah. Dual carriage. So it's easy. It's able to manage traffic. But go to some places, even Benin, that has dual carriageways. Times you have serious traffic. Go to some places. It's only like Abuja. How many people are living in Abuja? A lot of people live in the satellite towns now. Yeah. So you find a place like Lagos, you have people, businesses there. You also have residential, you have shops and all that. So people come there in their numbers on a daily basis. So this kind of a thing should not have happened. So going forward, I think the fire service should be empowered to inspect high-rise buildings and make sure that they keep in line with fire safety regulations. It should not be a man no man thing. The kind of thing you saw at the airport. People misbehaving at the airport and you allow them to go because they are connected to something. You see, we make the world laugh at us. We turn ourselves to a laughing stock. Because we are not serious with serious issues, simple issues. We are not serious with them.
Very, very true. This is not just about installing monster points like we usually see. Buildings will be erected and safety measures will not be taken. The only thing you might see in some of these high-rise buildings is having them install monster points somewhere and say, hey, in case if anything happens, everybody should gather there, and that is the end. And that is what we see. And the dividends is what we experience today. A sad one, truly it is. And we mourn for the souls and those that have lost their lives, and equally pray that God will of course, find a wonderful place for them. We'll be coming back. Emeka will still be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Tinubu ends Rivers crisis, reinstate a democratic structure in the state. In the bit, it's still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you so very much for your time. This is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. President Bola Tinubu yesterday lifted a 6-month state of emergency in Rivers State, restoring Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Nma Odu, Speaker Martins Amaewhule, and members of the House of Assembly to office effective September 18, 2025. Tinubu explained that the emergency rule declared on March 18 was necessary due to a collapse of governance, legislative divisions, and rising insecurity, including vandalism of critical assets. He noted that attempts at reconciliation had failed at the time, but intelligence now indicates a renewed spirit of cooperation among stakeholders, making continued emergency rule unnecessary. His announcement sparked excitement across the state, with the PDP cautioning Fubara's against leaving its fold and the APC offering him political openings. We still have Emeka Madunago. Thank you so very much, Emeka.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So what do you think about reinstatement of Siminalayi Fubara, just before we get into all the thicker matters on the issue?
I feel very sad about the entire thing.
Okay.
Tinubu removed the democratically elected government. Did he have legitimacy to be president? I mean, what are we talking about?
Well, the Supreme Court will say yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did the Supreme Court validate what he did? You see, this has been a conspiracy, a gang up against democracy. And it stands totally condemnable. And all those who made this happen, of course, in due course, they will see the fruit of their actions. You have no right to truncate a democratic process that came about the same way yours came about. You have no right. Now you have 40 court cases. You saw under Buhari how they connived, brought somebody from nowhere, and with an ex parte, they removed the Chief Justice of Nigeria. They removed Ononge, Walter Ononge, because Buhari wanted to pave the way for a second term. Buhari is dead now. I wish he had taken the government along with him to the grave. Utter nonsense. These are the kinds of things we see in this country, and we keep telling people again and again and again, but they will never learn. I've been in journalism for over 30 years, and the same things, they keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again because they will not learn. They are greedy for power, they are greedy for authority, they are greedy for position, and it, all of these things were just orchestrated for Tinubu's 2027 agenda. That's it. What are you telling me? What happened in Rivers State that didn't happen in Ondo State? That didn't happen in Lagos State? That didn't happen in Enugu State when Obasanjo was president? Was a state of emergency declared? Obasanjo hastily declared a state of emergency in Plateau. It remains one of the actions he regrets till today. He did the same thing in Ekiti State because he wanted Fayose removed as governor. But Fayose eventually, after Obasanjo left, came back as governor and spent 4 years. We keep telling you, you are not God. You are not God. Whatever you like, you can do. Whatever, because you have, one day that power will be taken away from you. That is what happened. The Supreme Court refused to say anything. For 6 good months, this is a history in the history of this country. 6 good months, the Supreme Court didn't entertain that matter. And you have 40 cases. Let me tell you, you see, it is even good that President Tinubu acknowledged 40 cases. He knows the implication of the implication of those 40 cases will continue even after Tinubu has left office. When they were, when under Obasanjo and all that, when they were toying with the electoral process, was that not how we got to stagger the elections? Now Nigerians are saying, we don't want staggered elections. Now staggered elections, they are costly. But when politicians who will never learn, we are toying with the system, orchestrating impeachment and all that, like what happened in Rivers State. Did they learn? They removed Peter Obi twice. Twice he went to court and he won. You go on and on. Look at Rotimi Amechi. You saw all the shenanigans that they did in Rivers State. At the end of the day, Rotimi Amechi still came back as a governor. So what we are telling these people is this: look, This democracy, we fought for it. I was one of those on the streets, fighting the military, that the military should go back. We fought the military at the risk of being killed.
Well, this is not new to Tinubu himself. So why do you think
he is?
Coming
to somewhere. When he created those illegal LCDs in Lagos, Obasanjo could have declared the state of emergency because it was an affront on the constitution. It was an affront on the constitution. Obasanjo could have declared a state of emergency.
But was it a matter of national interest?
You see, in the constitution is a ground norm in the country. And now, any action you take outside the constitution is an affront on the constitution. And it can be akin to treasonable felony. Yes. So, by creating those local governments, when you have 774 local governments in the constitution, you were affronting the constitution. And that's what led to other states creating LCDs. They've dissolved theirs. Only that in Lagos had not been dissolved. Now, they're now using pressure on the National Assembly to put those local governments in the constitution. But I can assure them that you see the local government will be removed. Even if they put it in the constitution, they will be expunged from the constitution. Because let me tell you, you see, this country doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs to all Nigerians. And you see all this noise they keep making, propaganda and all of that, all those things are just rubbish. They just amount to arrant nonsense. Because you can just see low intelligence in a lot of things that these people say. You know. In Rivers State, what happened in Rivers State that didn't happen in Ondo State? When Governor Akeredolu was, in a hospital in Germany. Yeah. You saw all kinds of forces who are trying to outplay, their opponents. But what happened at the end of the day? President Tinubu met with the gladiators twice. And he told them, he said, look, do this.
Sorry for that.
Do this. And then, at the end of the day, he was able to get them to agree for Ayedatiwa to become acting governor. To become acting governor, and then from there got elected, for a single term, according to the constitution. So, now, you know what the crisis was all about. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, trying to assert authority over the governor. And the governor said that, yes, I have tried my best to work with you, but you have made it difficult for me. At the end of the day, the House of Assembly, of course, became divided. The House of Assembly complex was bombed, and then that was the basis. Then some pipelines were, the Trans-Niger pipeline was reportedly bombed. Then at the end of the day, you now put all the blame on the governor. A matter went to the Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court, that nothing about local government elections came before the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court ruled on it. How can a court decide on matters that are not before it? It's no fellow. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm surprised, because I used to think that, I've always thought that, it is issues before the court, and the court debates, that the court deliberates on facts, not on hearsay. Because the issue of local government election was not before the court. So how did the court hear about local government election? That he decided and removed the local government chairman. Then the next thing, you now brought in an illegal interim government, to run Rivers State for 6 months. What have been achieved? Nothing.
So you mean they hadn't, or they have not achieved?
What have they achieved?
Iboket had not achieved the peace, lasting peace.
What has he achieved? Which peace?
At least now we're
Siminalayi Fubara fighting. Let me tell you, those things could have been resolved if only someone like Nyesom Wike could control himself. If he was able to at least put his ego in check and work with Fubara. The House of Assembly members are afraid of him now. They are afraid of him. That's why they were doing all those things. Is it the same APC now? You see how people ridicule themselves. Tony Okocha, who insulted the governor, said that the governor is now the one calling the governor to come to APC. I hope the governor will say, first of all, if I have to come to APC, Tony Okocha and his entire state executive council should be removed. They should quit. That should be one part of his comeuppance. Because members of the State House of Assembly are still in PDP. They are not in APC. So, but at the end of the day, they did what they did. Now, the Supreme Court will find out that whether they like it or not, the case is before them. Whether they like it or not, whether under this current CJN or in future, that matter will be decided upon. There are matters that have been at the Supreme that took 30 years to resolve.
But it later became more of an academic exercise, which has no effect.
No, let me tell you something.
Yes.
You refuse to sit on it, on a matter, on infringement on the fundamental rights of the people. And then you now turn and say it's an academic exercise. There's no problem. But let me tell you something. Posterity will judge all of us. After they removed Walter Onoye as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, what happened? They put one other man there as the Chief Justice. Of what effect was that? Another person succeeded. Of what effect was that? But after Buhari had died, after Buhari had left office, they now came out to say that Onoye was innocent of the allegations. It was an academic exercise. Let me tell you, all these things they are doing will give back to other things that will show them whether it was right, what they did was right or wrong.
Now, talking about giving birth to other things, Siminalayi Fubara has come up as someone that is slightly unpredictable. You see him all smiling, but there are lots of stuff that people are yet to see. Do you think he has got something up his sleeves, or do you see Siminalayi Fubara who would eventually become a puppet 100%?
No, well, I praise Sir Siminalayi Fubara for his forbearance, for his patience, for being long-suffering. People have said all kinds of things. Nigerians, we're always in a hurry, to look at things, to advise, to this and that. We are, instant, we like instant things. We don't think long-term. Long-term, we don't think long-term. And that is why you see people jump into things and they jump out. Because why? There is no staying power. They don't even look at how sustainable it is. And some people have told Fubara, hey, why will you take this kind of nonsense? Hey, you should resign. You should this. You should that. The no man knows why he went into politics. He has said that nobody's blood is worth his political ambition. And thankfully, he has not instigated anybody to go and kill anybody. Those who instigated talks to kill after local government elections. On the day the newly elected local government chairman were to take over the secretariats, we know those who instigated talks to go and kill people, and 5 people were killed. Is it for this or when the APD? No, the other the one he held.
Okay.
Now they may think he's gone. No, you shed human blood. They will pay for it. It's natural justice, I can assure them. As long as the sun will rise tomorrow, they will pay for those souls that they destroyed. Those people they killed, they are going to pay for it. You see, you can't be saying politics is politics, and you're just doing what you like. No. You and your sponsors will pay for it in God's time. But I would just advise Fubara to take it. We've heard stories. I see the headline. He has come back hobbled and all of that. The Nigerian media, to which I belong, we like sensationalizing things. We like to sensationalize things. Hobbled, this, that, and the other. As if governors who are sitting now, the governors who are not suspended, as if many of them are not even more hobbled. As if they are not hobbled themselves. There are governors in the country today that cannot sign a budget except their godfather has given them the go-ahead. We can name names. Yes, we can name names. We know them now. The governors who cannot do anything without their godfathers telling them, giving them the go-ahead. We can name them. They are there. Fubara is not ready to fight anybody. If you like, you can take all the resources of the state. See, let me tell you. The Holy Bible says that as long as seed time and harvest time remain, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest time shall not cease. So no matter how you steal, that money will not go anywhere. You see, the other day, one house linked to late General Jerry Husseini was seized in London. It has been seized in London.
Jeremiah Husseini.
Yes, former Minister of Federal Capital Territory. You know, when some people came up and were trying to lay claim to the ownership of the house, the court said no, they should go and bring the woman. You know, they said owns the house. They should go and bring the woman. And to all intents and purposes, no such woman exists. What about Lamesia? The houses he bought all over the world, where are they? Abacha loot, where's Abacha loot? All the money seized and everything. And more still being seized. Name it here and there. A former senior staff of NNPC, was it not the one they seized there? Was it $2.1 million or so from the other day? Name it, seizures are going on. And Western governments are now going to clamp down very hard on all these politicians. Make it more difficult for them to steal money and come and keep in their countries. Because people who are incensed with all these things are fighting hard. So let me tell you, Rivers State will continue to be, will continue to thrive. The people of Rivers State will continue to live together. They will continue to work together. I will just encourage them that they should take this thing as just a storm in the teacup, that they will rise again. You see, the anti-democratic forces holding them down, they won't be there forever. They will not be there forever. Tinubu won't be there forever. Nyesom Wike won't be there forever. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So one thing I do know is this. Fubara should just remain the gentleman he is. There's no problem. The House of Assembly that refused to pass the budget, what have they gained? What have they gained? Nothing. What have they gained? Nothing. Out of the 4 years for which they were elected, 6 months have gone. The Constitution doesn't say they will have another 6 months added to them. Who knows whether by 2027, if Tinubu doesn't come back as president, what will happen? Do they ever think of it? Do you remember 5 parties gathered together in this country and endorsed Abacha? When Abacha there to run? The answer is no. Do you remember the number of senators and members of the House of Representatives that, the number of governors that endorsed Goodluck Jonathan for a second term? But what happened? Did he win a second term? He didn't win a second term. Obasanjo, with all he did to get a third term, did he do it? He didn't. He didn't get a third term. So one thing people should always realize is this. Things will not always move or turn out the way you think. You are not God. You are not God.
I like that.
This is 2025. Yep. Today is September 18, 2025. You don't know what will happen even by the end of today, by tomorrow, by December. But you see ordinary human beings, mere human beings, talking at 2027, there will be a landslide. I say landslide because you are God. Do you know what is going to happen? A lot of things are going on right now that will, just like pregnancy, you can't hide pregnancy. Yes, so a lot of things are being conceived right now. Even Tinubu himself is trying to build alliances. Tinubu himself is flying all over the world seeking validation. So when people just talk because they are hungry, many of these people are hungry, so they can justify anything so that at least some crumbs will be thrown their way. So they say absurd things. They say all kinds of absurd things. Even things they even know nothing about. They just come up to say because they are hungry, they are broke. So Rivers State is a state I love so much. They are my in-laws. I schooled there. Spent part of my schooling years in Rivers State. And in the state I still have sentimental attachments to, one way or the other. So I believe the people of Rivers State will rise above this. The same way the people of Ekiti State were downcast during the emergency rule, but they rose, they bounced back, bigger and better. The same thing with Plateau State. Okay. Look at the state of emergency declared in the Western region. Then, what happened? At the end of the day, do people still remember it? They don't. They've gone past all those things. But truncating democratic process. Tinubu himself knows He didn't get a proper vote on National Assembly. Why didn't they come out to publish the same way everybody stood up when they were voting on third term? Every senator stood up to say where they stood on it. And then they voted openly. But this one, did you see any open voting? People were hiding. They went into hiding. Why? Because they knew that actually this matter shouldn't be like this. But well, I believe we'll rise over this thing. I'm happy there are 40 court cases. So they know themselves that they still have problems to resolve ahead.
But knowing that the Supreme Court didn't even hear any of the cases, and
the cases will get to the Supreme Court. Don't worry, that's why I said whether under this CJN or not, the matters will be heard. The notification of local government elections, look at what's happening in Osun State. Local government elections that were held under the former governor are still the subject of contention today. Are still subject of contention. So it's not academic. The courts didn't say the issue of local governments have become academic. No. You may say the state of emergency is academic, but there are also tangential issues that are not academic. So whatever it takes, but justice will be served.
Most importantly, justice will be served. And I would love to give it up to the good people of Rivers State for their calmness, for not protesting violently to all the matters that had happened in the last 6 months. Of course, lots of Nigerians have raised observation. Emeka, you saw how the wife of the sole administrator was dancing away, and people said, who knows how much would have gone to the various pockets and all that. And people say, I think it's time the sole administrator should come declare how much he owned or he had before.